Welcome to another episode of the Teachers Off Duty Podcast. On this episode, we're going to be talking about classroom management strategies. You know, the ones they teach you in school versus how they actually go down in real life. And we're going to be talking about things like PBIS.
Call and response.
Using Nickelback as a classroom management tool.
What's up, educators? Welcome back for another wonderful episode of the Teachers Off Duty Podcast, the Comedy Tour Takeover. It's your man, KC Mack, with my special guest. And listen, man, before y'all do it, because I've had a wonderful time with you, man. This has been probably one of the funnest months ever.
Aww.
Week after week.
We had some laughs.
Somebody play Boys II Men. It's so hard to say goodbye yesterday.
Do the slow montage of us just like slow motion laughing together.
Well, I actually can't stand either. No, just kidding.
Let's let this
Somebody gets a new vest and now they're acting all fancy.
Yeah. I got my finance bro vest on. I get an attitude. You want to talk about your finances? Catch me on Wall Street.
Tell them who you are, my friend.
My name is Finance Bro Gabe Dannenbring. Happy to see ya. Happy to meet ya. Let's talk about your 401k or your 403b. I don't know whichever one you got. Your educators probably got that 403b. Who's this Who's this, or nothing, or you're broke, because we're all teachers and we're broke. Who's this lovely lady sitting over there?
It is Jess Smith.
Hi.
Yeah, Teacher
Nice to
Tales
see ya.
of Miss Smith.
Hey.
It's great to see you.
It's Gabe from work.
No
Hey.
way.
We
It's
did
so
the
good to
podcast
see
together.
you. We
Teacher
do.
besties.
That's crazy.
Teacher
Did you get that rash taken care of?
Oh, I told you that in confidence, Gabe. I told you that in confidence.
You guys.
But now that we're talking about it,
Speaking of rashes.
speaking of rashes, KC, what's
Speaking of
up?
rashes,
Yeah.
this guy's sitting next to me. Who is this? What's his name?
And if you just want to laugh your butt off, you need to make sure that you catch the Board Teachers Comedy Tour. That's going to be live in living color. And guess what? We have a few more shows this month.
What?
We've been rocking it all month. You definitely want to check these shows out. We're coming to Poughkeepsie, New York.
Whoa.
Woo.
Akron, Ohio.
Ah.
Indiana.
Yeah.
Joliet, Illinois.
Yeah.
And Toledo, Ohio. And speaking of Joliet, it's sold out. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah, you're going to have to go to another city. But
Okay.
just make sure that you guys follow Board Teachers and you can find out where the tour is going to be next because you definitely, like I said, don't want to miss it. Yeah. The link will be in the description. And guys, real quick again, because this is your last week, I did something special for you guys.
Oh, what'd you get us?
I baked you a cake. I'm kidding. I've been here the whole time. You know I ain't got no cake.
What?
I just felt like we should have had a cake.
Now I want a cake.
No, but real quick. You guys, with you guys being comedians and with you guys being educators, now I know the obvious would be when I ask you this question, but I mean, with some serious deep thought, which one do you like better?
Oh. I don't have favorites. I love all my jobs equally.
Oh, it's politician. Gabe.
One job. So get this. Here's the thing, okay? Here's the thing. One job involves trying to make people laugh.
Right?
One job involves making people laugh.
Ooh.
One job involves getting called a lot of mean names.
Right?
One job involves
Calling people a lot of mean names.
calling people a lot of mean names. So it's like when you ask your parent, "Hey, mom and dad, who's your favorite kid?" And they go, "We can't pick favorites. We love you all equally." I love both jobs equally.
Okay. Same question for you, Jess, except instead of the teaching and comedy, which
Yeah.
one of your children do you love the most? It's not a real question. Don't ponder. I'm kidding.
But you thought of one. You thought of a kid.
Maybe.
One came to your head.
Maybe. Maybe.
No, how hard has it been just being a mom? And I mean, you're a new mom, but you have a toddler. But, with balancing, all that you do, how hard has that been? Because I know it's a lot of educators out there who are balancing both, being mom and professional. So
Yeah.
how's it been?
Well, I couldn't balance it all being an educator. So
I did it.
Did you give up your
didn't.
kids? Which one did you choose? Did you choose mom life or teacher?
Mommy will be back in 18 years. No, I again, all of the teachers who are parents, I hats off, go to you, because I cannot even imagine trying to balance all of the things that parents are doing and going into the classroom. It's a lot. Kids are hard, both my home and in the classroom.
I have 2 cats living at my house.
Uh-oh.
And
cat lady.
No.
yeah,
I call him a lady.
No, so, the whole, being a parent and being a teacher thing, man, I got 2 cats at home, and they don't really say a lot, and they don't require a lot. And it's hard work for me to teach kids all day and then go take care of 2 animals. I can't imagine going home and taking care of kids. So all of you teachers who are parents out there, bless your soul, because I don't know how you do it. Don't know how you do it. You got a kid at home.
I have 2 kids.
You got 2
they're
kids?
teenagers, yeah. And my daughter's in college now, and my son, he's a junior. But I guess with both jobs, comedy takes me away from them more. Because I travel a lot. Teaching, it was, cool because I was, able to see them every day and I'm around. But, it's just hard with the travel. But, with great things come great sacrifices. Sorry, kids. But no, I mean, we joke around. Listen, we joke around, but I mean, asking you these questions, it kind of ties in, not directly to this episode, but it kind of allows us to kind of let the people know, we're actually real people. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
We have real families, real things going on. So as we dive into this, it's we're credible, because we've been through it. We done been through the education side. We done been through outside the education side as parents, and just happen to be able to manage all together, all these aspects of our life. And today's episode is about classroom management strategies, what they teach you at school versus what it's like in real life. Bow.
Wildly different things.
Wildly
different
things.
I go back to when I first started my teaching career, and I go back to doing practicums and student teaching. And when you're in that stage, you're the cool young person who's there.
Yeah.
And kids are gonna, for the most part, like you no matter what. They're like, oh, this is a guest speaker every day. I'm gonna listen to that. And it's just easier for classroom management. And then I learned my first year of teaching, I was like, these kids don't care at all that it's my first year. All of a sudden, you go from being the cool young, intern pretty much, student teacher, to all of a sudden, you're the bad guy.
Right.
You're the teacher. You are in charge. They don't care that if it's your first year or your 50th year. They're gonna push boundaries on you. And that's one thing that I wish I would have been taught is, hey, student teaching, it's going to be pretty relatively easy to have rapport for the most part. I know everyone's got different experiences, but for the most part, that's how it goes. But then your first year, your expectations are the same as someone who's been teaching for 20 years, and the kids are kind of going to treat you the same. So I don't know. I learned really quickly that going with the classroom management strategy of, hey, I'm the cool young guy, does not work. That doesn't work. They'll eat you up.
Yeah, I went in with the same attitude.
Cool young guy.
Yeah. But exactly. And I did that through student teaching, and then when I got my job as a 6th grade teacher at that same school, I was the youngest teacher because all of the other ones were at least over 45. So I was the young one, I was the cool one, and they listened to me. They loved my class. They loved hanging out. They listened. We had a blast. But then the second year came around and I wasn't the latest hire, and I wasn't the younger one anymore.
Right, because you had a birthday. He was 1 year older.
Exactly.
She's not cool no more.
That is exactly right, Casey. Thank you so much.
They Leonardo DiCaprio you. Over 25? Next. Get out of here. That's how I feel even. I'm in my, I don't know if it's my 4th or 5th year, but I feel myself getting older in the classroom, and it's different. I'm not the young whippersnapper like I used, but like for real, like I'm not 22 anymore.
Right.
It's just it changes your perception. Like I started teaching when I was 21,
right?
And I was young, and then just as you get older, your perception changes, and just some things, management styles change,
yeah.
Right.
And all of a sudden, things you didn't care about, you start caring about, and things you used to care about, now you realize it isn't really a big deal. And it's just a natural progression of classroom management is as you get older, you just look back on all the years and you're like, nah, this is different now.
Right.
And that helps too, because it's like, a good question, I guess, is, okay, as you get older, right, but your students stay the same age.
Uh-huh.
You know?
You're right, Matthew McConaughey.
I'm trying to tell you. So what I'm saying is...
You know what I'm referring to?
No, I don't. I lost it. Wait, hold on.
It's a Dazed and Confused.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh, that's one of my favorite movies. I should have caught that.
Yeah.
I like them redheads, man. I forgot. I'm sorry.
But for real, you're right. Like
So what I'm saying, as the older you get, and I get it, the more wiser you get, but those kids are coming in. Now you're getting another group of 12-year-olds, whatever.
Yeah.
And now you have to implement that, but it's a whole different 12.
Yeah.
Right? It's not the same 12, right? You're older, you're getting a little bit more. So I think the ability is just for you to be able to adjust and pivot more with your classroom management skills.
Yeah.
Because you know what I'm saying? Because what worked with the last class, you might have to.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, and I think that was something that I wasn't anticipating in like going in from college is the amount of classroom management strategies that I would have to go through.
Yeah.
Like it was almost, and first of all, I never had a classroom or a class that was just solely about classroom management. Right? Like, did you?
No, it was just like methods. Like it was never like
PBIS.
Yeah.
I never got a college course about that. Let me tell you what.
Here's how you write an 8-page lesson plan, though.
Yeah,
Let's hammer this home. I think with classroom management, each method is different for each person. There's some of the cutesy little things like the call and response. Man, I that's not me. That's not, I can't do that stuff. I feel goofy when I do it. For some people, that's their jam. I can't do it. I feel weird, you know. I don't like doing those, and I don't know. Did you guys ever do those call and responses?
I do.
I tried. I don't know. It just never felt like me.
Yeah.
More than anything else, and there was a lot to remember. You know, there was a lot for them to remember too. So
You're performing at that point.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a performance. You know?
Yes.
It just doesn't feel authentic.
And it was almost more chaos sometimes, you know, because like these call and responses, they're funny, they're clever. I don't know where people come up with them.
Their effectiveness wears away after a while.
Yes. Or like they come up with their own call and responses and it just becomes like an obnoxious other thing to manage at that point.
What's some of the funniest call and responses that you ever heard of?
Okay, so like flat tire, and the class would go, shh.
What?
I remember that.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah.
Or waterfall. Yeah, I remember that one.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't do a lot of the call and responses. I think my kids, like my students, if I did it to them, they'd be like, what? Like, this is new. Like, one of the things that I do like doing is I'll just stand, I'll put my hand up, and that just means, okay, be quiet. Like that, and I wait for them. I like that. But one of my favorite like series of videos I made on my TikTok are going through like unorthodox classroom management strategies. And some of my favorite ones, like one of them that I do is if the kids aren't gonna stop talking, I just threaten to start crying. I'd be like, hey, class, I will cry. Like you will see a full-grown man cry.
If that was my class, they'd be like, okay, this is
Like,
just a normal day. This is a normal day for Miss Smith.
I threatened that. I threatened. There was one time I told the kids, like, if you don't stop talking, I'm only gonna play Nickelback the rest of the year.
Oh Lord!
That boom, they got quiet real quick.
See, that works with middle school.
Yeah, they thought it was funny. I was like, that's funny. They're like, we don't want to listen to Nickelback.
Or then you get the rogue classes that are like, okay, that would be hilarious.
Yeah, we love Nickelback.
We love Nickelback. Like, we want to listen to Nickelback.
I think, honestly, though, when it comes to Nickelback, not that anybody asked, but I'm going to say it anyway.
How do you feel about Nickelback?
I'm a closeted Nickelback fan.
No.
I'll never admit it.
Oh, no.
I'll never admit it, but I'm a closeted Nickelback fan. Like, on the record, nah, I don't like them. But off the record,
You listen to it.
I'm going to listen to Nickelback on the flight on the way home today.
Look at this photograph.
It's good. Thank you. Exactly. It's good.
Wait, do it again. Let me hear it again. Do it again.
Look at this photograph. Every time I do it makes me exactly laugh.
Maybe that'll be my new call and response. Look at this photograph. And the kids, every time I see it, it makes me laugh. Like
Yes.
the Vine, look at this graph. You seen that one? So you know what? Maybe Monday I'm gonna use that as a class. I will actually use
I would like a report
Nickelback
back. Yeah.
call and responses.
I want to report
I
back.
think that'll go really, really well. Really good.
Man.
Well,
So relevant.
so relevant. I mean,
Look at this Venn diagram graph.
or just make it Creed.
Read.
Oh God.
But in all reality, when I needed
Nickelback
to
rocks.
have the yes. I really do love
snap.
Nickelback.
Closeted though.
Yeah, closeted. I don't tell people. But in all reality, for like classroom management, what I did was I made songs for like stupid stuff. Like, do you ever make songs?
No.
No?
Teach
No.
middle school and high school.
I feel like high schoolers would.
Sing me
Oh
your
my
sweet.
gosh. It was always spur of the moment. Like I never
You was
planned them.
freestyling?
I was
Pick up the trash. Pick up the trash.
Yeah. Or like when we were talking about forces in motion, like I made up a song, like we were airplanes, and I.
Wow. Can you do that airplane? Woo!
I like that. Hold on.
But
I
like
sang-
that was the way that I got the kids to remember.
I sang one song. I've sang one song to remember. They help my kids remember mean, medium, mode, and range.
Yeah.
I don't teach math, but this year we've got like this whole different thing, and there's like a class period every couple weeks that I have to like do a remedial math lesson, and the kids were not getting mean, median, mode, and range. They were having a hard time with it. So when I was in middle school, we had shout out Mrs. Klimish. She was awesome. She sang this song that helped the kids remember mean, median, mode, and range.
Okay.
And I was getting so frustrated that they couldn't get it that I literally said, "All right, guys, I'm gonna sing you a song," and I sang them the song. And it was so bad, but the kids were like, "Oh, it kind of makes sense." And I felt so like embarrassed up there. Like it was I felt like I had the eyes of 25, 12-year-old kids just judging me while I was singing. And it like,
now you know how Nickelback feels.
now I know it felt like I was bombing on, like it was,
Yeah.
but then afterwards, like the kids were like, "Oh, that makes sense, but you're a terrible singer." I'm like, I never said I was a good singer.
Right.
So that,
Do you remember the song? Do you remember the song?
Yeah.
Mean, the average mode, most often range, the greatest number minus the smallest,
Hey.
meaty in the middle. No. Put them in order from the greatest to the least. Ba ba ba. Hooray!
Wow.
I learned that in 8th grade. Still
I
have it down.
understand that now even better listening to you sing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wow.
Yeah, but when I sang it, I was a bit frustrated, so it sounded more like screamo than like friendly, happy. It was like, "Mean, the average," just kind of edgier. Classroom management, you know.
I wrote
You've
a
been
song.
there.
I wrote
You're
a song.
singing.
Yeah.
I wrote a song to teach the kids about cleaning themselves, and it goes like this. Take a bath every day. Let those odors float away. Hygiene means we all keep clean. See what I mean?
Wow, that was really good.
Did your mom teach that to you?
I got it off of Porky's. It's a movie from the 80s.
Yeah.
Grandpa Mac, go away.
Well, no, you want something though? this was one of my biggest challenges with classroom management. Okay, so and I don't know if you guys ever had to do this before, but have you ever had to take over a class in the middle of the year or middle of the semester, or you always started from the beginning?
Like all of a sudden they're like, "Hey, you're teaching this now," and
Well, or if you like started at a school late, in the middle of the school year.
No.
Okay, so I started doing this resource class, middle school, and my challenge was, and I probably started in like few months into the semester, and
It's like October.
yeah, like October.
That's the way a calendar works.
It'd be like that, don't it?
Every year.
Is there a song for that?
October, October, make sure that you're sober when you're teaching your class. Make sure you got an empty glass. What?
For sobriety? I don't think that's how that works.
I think you want the glass empty.
You want the glass empty in September.
You don't want a
that
glass.
You don't. No glass.
No glass?
No.
All right. No, guys, y'all so silly. Stop it. No, I'm talking about taking over a class. This was my problem. They didn't have a teacher for this position. So the AP was actually teaching the class.
Really?
Yes. Oh my God. I was shocked to hear about that too. Now, here was the biggest challenge for me. I'm now supposed to compete with her classroom management. They already have a high level of respect for her.
Yeah.
And I'm transitioning now as the teacher on record. So it was hard because, and I would come in and shadow her like the first few days, you know what I'm saying, kind of watching her. And I was just sitting off on the other desk and just watching, floating a little bit. But as soon as she would say, okay, you ready for me to pass the reins? I was like, yeah, let's do it. Man, those kids, gave me hell.
Really?
And it was, and I couldn't really go back to her like, hey, I need help. I can't, But it was like I was put in a hard
How's it
situation.
going, Casey?
Like, tap out.
I was like, oh, everything's fine. It's fine.
I'm loving it.
Them kids are learning, but it was kicking my butt because I couldn't. It's like the first impression I was given, I wanted to be like, okay, I have to be stern, but I was like, she was like really stern, but I was like, I don't want to be that stern. I don't want them to be that first. But I get it is so important that you have to establish that relationship with them first, where they respect you and understand and follow your rules. But it was like, I'm like, I got to give them a break because you went from having this high figure, you know what I'm saying, in our school to like, and rightfully so they should have kind of relaxed a little bit, like, well, woof. Because we had to be on our best A game for these first few months, and now we can kind of. So you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so I was like,
absolutely
trying to balance between. But yeah, I failed.
Like I look at some of the students, and I think it's interesting for kids that they have to go. Let's say there's 9 periods in a day if they're in secondary. They have a different teacher with different expectations and classroom management styles in each of those 9 classes. Like I catch myself times as a teacher where I'm like, oh, why don't these kids do this? Why don't they do that? It's like, wait a second, they've got different teachers every single day that are having, different management styles, and they're going to operate differently in each class.
Right.
But I think one of my favorite things that I do with my classroom management is after they come back after first semesters, like after Christmas break, that's a huge reset for me.
Right.
It's like, okay, what worked? What didn't work? Let's reassess expectations. Let's go through it again so then all the kids know, like, hey, we're back on the same page. Here are the expectations. And what I've started doing, which really, really helps with my classroom management, is at the beginning of each semester, I have the kids write down expectations of their classmates, expectations of themselves, and expectations for their teacher. And then I write down expectations for myself, expectations for my coworkers, and then expectations out of my students. And we have a good dialogue and talk about, hey, here's what we expect out of each other. And then that helped me with my classroom management because I'll stop and tell the kids, like, hey, you guys told me that what you expect out of me, and we made a deal that I'll try to reach that every day, but right now you're not reaching your end of the deal. You're not reaching the expectations that we agreed on. And that little bit of reasoning really does well with secondary.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And granted, there's some kids that they're like, screw this guy, whatever, I don't care.
Right.
Yeah, that's a small percentage, but for the masses, that tends to work decently. I like doing that.
Well, that's kind of like a class contract in a way.
Kind of, yeah.
Like how like some elementary teachers do at the beginning of the year. It takes ownership for the kids.
Totally.
And I think that is super important when you're talking about classroom management. There's almost like, I think when I was in elementary school, it was almost like the teacher did no wrong ever.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things that I really wanted to reiterate to my kids in my classroom was that like I make mistakes too, and sometimes like I need to be checked.
Yeah.
And not that that's your job to check me all the time, but like there's a respectful way to talk about how we can all work together and coexist in this classroom together.
Yeah.
So was behavior like a strong problem with you guys in your classrooms?
Every year is different. I would say that I do a pretty good job with my classroom management. I mean, I run a really tight ship. I mean, I'm extremely firm, but I always tell the kids I'm fair, but I'm firm. And I say, here are the rules. My expectations are not going to change. I'm not going to deviate from it. And I've had a couple tough years where it's like, no matter what I'm trying to do, it's not working. And I've had some years where it's like, teacher of the year, that's me. Like I can do this forever. And then the next year, all of a sudden, you're like, I'm the worst teacher on the planet. What is going on? But what I do love about, like at my school, we have the PLC model and we have like the teams.
Yeah.
And it's so awesome having other teams or other teachers we can consult with and be like, Jess, what's your problem with Casey? Like, what are you seeing in the classroom? It's like, oh, good, I'm seeing the same exact thing. Where elementary is way different, where you're just kind of stuck on that island. So it's nice working with other teachers on our team because we can talk about, hey, this works, this doesn't work, and we just see things sometimes from a different perspective, which is good.
Yeah.
Was it hard at the elementary? Or were you saying?
Well, yeah, I just want to ask you. So the teams that you guys had. So was that? You said just in y'all's department, like you said with the PLC, or?
Yeah. Well, so we've got so our team. We have like our team teachers. So English, science, social studies, math. We meet 3 times a week, and then we have our job alikes, which I meet with the other 7th grade science teachers 2 times a week.
Okay.
So we do a lot of chit chatting about stuff.
But that's different. Like that's separate from like a student assistance team meetings and like things like that.
Oh, we'll have those. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll have those, and I think most teachers will agree that it's a challenge to get to that point to where you can have a meeting with admin, parents, and the kid.
Right.
There's multi layers you have to go through to get to that.
The 3 tiers.
Yeah, PBS. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, there's multiple
got the 3
layers.
tiers. So every student starts off tier 1, and as the higher they go up on the tiers, the worse their behavior.
Right.
Is
and obviously there's reasons why it takes a while before you can have those meetings, but I know a lot of teachers wish that it could happen quicker.
So so with that being said, so do you think when a lot of teachers saying I'm not getting the support I need from my admin, right? It's like a catch-22 almost, because it's like on one end, the admin love to say, well, I mean, are you doing what you're supposed to do before you even call me, or before you even send a kid down there? What strategies did you put in place that what I'm saying? That,
100%.
So sometimes, and then I'm gonna be honest, I love us educators. Don't get it twisted, but sometimes we don't do everything we're supposed to do correctly first before we do
and
that.
I think it's that idea
Sometimes.
of like one person or a couple people ruin it for the rest of us.
Right.
Yeah.
In the sense of like we all have a teacher in a building that just like is constantly sending kids down to the office. Like it's just like a rotating door.
And will violate every procedure while they do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm sorry, but like that's not me. Like I prefer to handle stuff in my classroom unless it was like a safety risk for everyone. Like I'm not getting other people involved. So I think that's like it's that thing of like just I'm going to say something very controversial.
Uh-oh.
I'm going to say something very controversial.
Do it.
I know that a lot of teachers roll their eyes at the like, well, have you tried to build relationships first? I know that a lot of teachers roll their eyes at that, but like,
that's a great
seriously.
strategy, though.
Yeah.
Right.
But honestly, and there are teachers who have have those students who that doesn't work with. So I think that's when teachers roll their eyes. I think they're probably talking about those types of students. But at the same time, it's like I never had a problem with classroom management because I always made sure that those kids felt loved, seen, heard, and respected in my classroom.
So that's beautiful. So that's like when they tell us to have our restorative conferences with the students, right? And we set the kid down and we give them a reflection sheet and we say, okay, now let's talk about the behavior that you know what I'm saying, is simplified. And now let's talk about, do you understand why consequences are needed for your behavior, the actions, right? And they always tell us, you know, make sure when you do this, do it in a safe space, you know, and the safe space is just simply like, you wouldn't want to do that in the middle of the classroom, like, with all the other kids.
Right,
you know,
don't do that.
Right.
Yeah.
So you want to, and they always tell us, you know, make sure that we separate the student from the behavior.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because you don't want to just be like, you're this, you don't never want them just to identify with that specific behavior.
Right.
You want to separate them as a human, as a person.
Yeah.
And then let's acknowledge your behavior. So these are all the things that your admin, they're going to ask you, did you do this? Did you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I say all that to say, as long as you're documenting everything.
Yes.
Document everything, because at this point, what did they say? If it wasn't documented, it never happened.
Right.
Yeah.
So make sure you got your ABC chart, right? I paid attention in PD. Make sure you're documenting dates. Have your ABC chart. Y'all know what that is. And so now when you present this to your admin, you can say, well, these are the steps I've taken. I literally utilize every strategy possible.
Right.
Yeah.
Please help.
Yeah.
You have good admin, you have bad admin. Right. You know, you've got some that are willing then to be like, hey, you've done your darndest, let's solve this. And then you also have some admin that they'll dodge. And they'll be like, you know what, I'm not going to take care of this. They don't want to have the battle. And I understand that a lot of like school principals, they're middle management. They've got bosses that are telling them what they're supposed to do. So I know sometimes I can be a principal apologist, but there's times where it's like, we have to look at some things through their perspective, which is good. But I know a lot of teachers everywhere. It's like, we just want support. You know, we want support, and being able to say, hey, we have a major problem with Johnny. We need to have a conversation about it. I wish in schools it was easier to go that route and just say, can we just have a sit down conversation, talk about this, because this is starting to affect other kids in the classroom.
Correct.
Because and it's hard, you know, because I know in a lot of schools, the thing is like, we want to keep all kids in school. Yeah, so do I. We want to keep all kids in school, and they're anti-school suspension. But when it comes to like not suspending kids or getting them out of the general ed classroom, where I challenge some of that is like, okay, you have classrooms full of really, really great kids, and you might have one kid who's consistently having a hard time and blowing up the classroom. Those kids in class that are behaving are going to go home and tell their parents, hey, this is what's going on at school. And then a lot of times, if it's really consistent happening all the time, a lot of those kids end up switching schools. And then you kind of create a vacuum of a lot of the solid students sometimes will end up leaving, because there's situations where a kid, and it's not always the kid's fault, it might just be they don't have the support there to help the kid. The kid might be having mental health issues, and the general ed classroom is not the best thing for him.
Correct.
So a different setting is good, not suspending the kid and saying, you got to go somewhere else, you know, get no school for you. No, sometimes a separate setting is good for them.
Right. No, and everything you just said, because at that point, I mean, up tier 3 at that level, and the counselors has already been, you know, invited, and you know, everybody's doing their thing. And at that point, it is, like you said, the general educational classroom might not be the perfect setting, and he might need a referral, you know, at that point after that. So it's just so many things that has to take place. And again, that's why I advocate, I get it. Like, let's just make sure we're doing what we're supposed to do on our end as educators, you know, so that way it's undeniable when we do say, no, I need help.
Yeah.
Help me.
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
You know?
Right.
And then the child is getting the proper help that it needs.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and then that's what it's all about. At the end of the day, it's about what we can do to make the students' lives better, rather than like, we're not trying to make anyone's lives miserable or, you know, single anyone out.
Because they don't pay us
like,
enough for that.
Yeah. I had a PD, and they're talking about, and I've mentioned this PD before. He was talking about de-escalation training. You know, how to de-escalate situations. And good advice he gave was, he's like, when a kid is starting to lose it in the classroom, it's not about you. And I think I catch myself as a teacher where I make it about me. And it's like, why are you doing this to me? Like, this is frustrating me. Yeah. It's like, now this isn't about me. There's other things going on in this kid's life that It just happens, okay, he's going to blow up in my classroom.
Yeah.
That
Right.
doesn't mean I'm going to
Right.
justify what he's doing and be like, this
Right.
is okay. But it just helps me take myself out of the situation a little bit to be less emotional.
Right.
And then let, objectively solve the situation.
Yeah.
Because when you have that much emotion involved as a teacher, it emotion clouds your judgment.
Right.
It absolutely does. But
Right.
that's way easier said than done.
Right.
And I'm not perfect by any means. There's definitely times when I'm like, I have to step out of the classroom because I can't separate myself right now from this situation.
Right.
mean-
And like in that same vein, I remember having a student who was not responding to my classroom management style at all. And he had needs that weren't being met, like emotional, and he wasn't getting the support that he needed. And I didn't take that in as a teacher. I didn't recognize that as a problem. I was like, what's wrong with me?
Yeah.
Why am I failing this kid? And the amount of nights that I like was awake thinking about how I could fix it.
Right.
And I think teachers are doing that all the time in their classrooms and taking that home and taking on that pressure. And that's
Yeah.
not your burden to bear. That's not your pressure to have.
Carry a lot of baggage as teachers.
Yeah.
We carry a lot of
sure.
baggage. I don't know. Middle school classroom management is different than like when I was doing high school. High school, you could have a lot more crucial conversations and be pretty reasonable with the kids and like, all right, I guess I can start to understand it. And at the middle school level, it's a lot more of act than think. Like they don't think through their actions like older people do. And I catch myself all the time as a full-grown adult being like, why aren't these kids rationally thinking like how I think as an adult? It's like, well, because they're 12. Like their brains aren't developed yet.
Yeah.
Their frontal lobes are far from development. So that's one of those things that I try to remind
These
myself.
are also the same people that think Axe body spray is the cure for everything.
Yeah. Yeah. You throw in some Axe chocolate really quick. Oh, yeah.
That's not real,
Problem
is it?
solved.
Problem solved. We'll get all the dates now. Girls are going to love this.
How much do you feel like discipline referrals are effective today?
Ooh, that's a great question. And here's such a crappy answer. It depends on the school.
Boom.
Like it's a terrible answer, but it's true. It depends on
Yeah.
your admin. The admin that I'm at right now at my school are so good. They are very, very, very good admin. They're extremely fair and firm. And I think it starts so top down. When you have a school and you have when you have your policies written out, you need to have behavior policies written out word for word on what you do.
Yeah.
And you don't deviate from the policy. I get so frustrated hearing teachers talk about when they have admin who don't follow their own district policy. It's like, no, your policy's there for a reason.
Right.
You have to follow that policy. Otherwise, lines get blurred really quickly and then it doesn't mean anything.
Right.
Right.
But what do
Right.
you think? What do you think about that stuff?
Well, so I know growing up as a recipient of many discipline referrals.
You get in trouble?
Woo,
Casey Mack,
I surprised a
what?
lot of people when
You?
they found out I became a teacher. But I mean, for me back then, that was like oh no, like I hated, to receive one of those.
Yeah.
And even though I, got multiple ones, but still, I would get in trouble. Like it would be like very effective, especially
Yeah.
for my household.
Yeah.
Now I see as a teacher, write-ups, it's like a pass to the bathroom at
Yeah.
this point. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It's
Yeah.
just the kids are like, oh, I'll take another one of those. I'll eat those for lunch. I mean, it's just nothing,
Yeah.
And again, I know every school and every student, will differ, but at least for my school, that's the culture that I see. Like they don't really help. What about you? Well, I mean, you're in elementary, so y'all don't.
Yeah,
okay.
I never really dealt with that.
Did you ever receive them when you was younger?
No.
What about
No.
you? Did you get them?
I think I had one conversation with a principal. I think I was a third grader. There was I got in trouble because there was a girl who had bad breath, and the kid standing next to me called her breath mints because she needed breath mints. And then I was somehow involved, and I was like, I never called her anything. So it was a waste of time. I remember even as a third grader being like, why am I in trouble? I was just standing there. I didn't even say anything. But what I see a lot of that where teachers get frustrated with classroom management and like keeping kids in the classroom is when kids start getting violent. when there's throwing desks, when there's stuff like that, man, teachers have a hard time with having those kids come back to the classroom because it's a safety thing.
Yeah.
And it's like there's no quiet coyote that can get a kid to stop throwing a chair.
Right.
Like that's
well, and
just,
it's almost like you disrespected my house.
Yeah.
Like I need some time to like repair the house that you decided you wanted to destroy.
Yeah.
So
and it's like as a teacher, it's like I care for kids,
Right.
I've obviously, but if it's gonna put me in harm's way, I'm sorry, I don't want that kid in my classroom every day.
Right.
If this kid's consistently harming
Right,
people,
right.
I'm not gonna put myself in a situation that can all of a sudden now cause more issues to my family and loved ones. Like I'm not
Right.
gonna do that. And I
Right.
think a lot of teachers feel that frustration right now because it's hard to get those kids out because of different policies that exist. So I don't know. I'm not saying you got to expel the kids, but if the kid is flipping tables and throwing chairs, the general ed classroom setting might not be for them.
Right.
Okay. Now here's something real quick that definitely ties in with, especially piggybacking off what you're saying. Because again, remember the title is Classroom Management Strategies They Teach You at School versus what it's like in real life. Now, in those situations, right? You got that kid throwing that desk all across the room. They'll tell you.
Proximity.
flat tire. Flat tire.
Are you using positive reinforcement
yeah.
behavior strategies? Now,
Great throw. Here's a Jolly Rancher.
right. So I think
like
that's the
starts
part.
Jolly Rancher.
I like how you threw the chair. I like how you threw the desk.
How well can you implement positive?
Thank you for missing me.
Right. Ooh, that's how you almost took my head off. Good job. Next time, aim for below the neck. What are you supposed to say? Like, I don't think that works. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's. And again, I say it again. Every classroom situation varies, but situations like that, it's hard to keep that positive reinforcement
Yeah.
behavior. I mean, I get the whole thing of like, if you're moving from small groups to station and you're just reminding them on their behavior before they make this transition from
Yeah.
small group. Remember, and I get them say, hey, remember, don't be talking when you go into your station. I get that.
Yeah.
But, hey, remember, level 0 when transitioning to you.
Yeah.
I get that part.
It's like, I
Yeah.
liked how
Right.
Jimmy didn't talk.
Right.
Everybody, well, look how Jimmy does it. Yeah,
Right.
that works good.
Certain things work in that situation.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
like you said, when you got situations that's so irate, you cannot
Yeah.
implement that right
No.
there.
Yeah. And it's those huge, big blow ups. Usually the best thing to do is just evacuate the classroom. Evacuate get everybody out of there.
Oh, a
but
thousand-
I
yeah.
honestly think when I think, going back to like college and what they teach, I think it's easy to teach those big situations. Those are pretty black and white things. Safety is the number one priority. Get the kids out of there.
Yeah. Right.
What I think needs to be taught more of are the tier 2, middle of the road behavior problems.
Blatant disrespect.
Just blatant
like-
disrespect, blatant like, no, I'm not going to do my work today.
Right.
Well, please, no, I'm not going to do it.
Right.
Like those are the things that are the most challenging.
Yeah.
I think the big issues, those are relatively easy in the moment to make the right decision on
Right.
how to handle it.
Yeah.
Like if a kid is flipping desk, yeah, you probably shouldn't have everybody else in there.
That's
but
tier 8, by the way.
but if you have kids who are just straight up like no, I'm not going to put my hood down. Okay, well
Yeah.
then those are, you have to really unpack
Right.
those situations.
Those are the situations that were usually the most emotionally draining for
Oh,
me.
yeah.
Because it's
Yeah.
like, I need to show that I'm an authority figure here, but I also don't want to like ruin the classroom vibe.
Yeah, don't want to ruin the vibe. Don't want to ruin the vibe of the party.
Guys, we're having
Please
Yeah.
don't kill my vibe.
Yeah.
That's funny. Well, and it's, I was thinking the other day, just thinking about classrooms and how classrooms are set up. And I think, like you talked about being an authority figure in the classroom, people have to remember that classrooms are not a democracy. In the classroom, it's not a democracy. It's not a democracy. We're not voting on what you're doing.
Right.
Correct.
I'm the teacher. I'm in charge.
Correct.
I'm a professional. If it was a democracy and we voted on what to do, guess what the kids want to do every day? Play Chromebook games. Like,
Right.
it's not a democracy.
Right.
There's times when you're the teacher, you have to be in charge.
Correct.
You have to lead. And yeah, people, I see it all the time, like, well, just let a kid wear a hat. Let a kid wear a hood. Well, if the school policy is here's the rule,
Yeah.
you have to enforce the rules because you're an employee. Like,
Right.
that's just, we don't make the rules, we just enforce them. And you have to show, hey, I'm the one in charge here because I'm the teacher. That's
Right.
just how it has to be.
Right.
And what helps that is if everybody on your campus is on the same page as well.
Yeah, no weak links.
Right,
No
because
weak links.
if one is lax on it, then it makes your job harder for somebody who's trying to enforce that and trying to,
I think across the board, like whether it's the classroom or whole school, like expectations have to be clear, and there has to be a way, like this is what happens when you don't do this, or like there has to be very, very clear guidelines.
Right.
There's no gray area. It is black and white. You don't take off your hood, then this is what happens. And
Mr. Richardson let me keep it on. Well, Mr. Richardson is a jerk. And he's making it hard for everybody.
They sound fun. Yay. But I think like the big thing too about classroom management is like, don't be afraid if something doesn't work with one class to like move on to another thing.
Yeah.
And I think like that was something that I really had a hard time doing. Like, what? Like the points?
Yeah.
Like that's not working with you guys? And and again, don't be afraid to learn too, new strategies. Like when I first started teaching this school that I was at, their classroom management was a required clip chart. So like kids would have to go up to this chart if they made a bad decision. Yeah. And they would have to move their clip down. And then like going to another school, I learned that could be degrading for students. And absolutely it
Public
would be.
shaming, always
right.
good.
Or, or punishing the whole class for something that one student did. Like I used to do like the point system, and like I would erase a point if one person was talking, and that was detrimental. So like don't be afraid to learn and grow and say, this probably wasn't a great choice for a classroom management strategy, so I'm going to move on to another one.
Yeah, I think we know that public shaming usually doesn't do the best.
It doesn't. It does not.
Doesn't do the best. No.
It doesn't make the teachers feel well.
No.
Doesn't make the kids feel well.
Right.
I really liked what my admin did a couple years ago at my school. We were having some pretty big behavior issues across the board of kids just blatantly not following the rules. And we had a big staff meeting, and our principal, he was like, we can have no weak links here. We have to all be on the same
awesome.
page. And it's so important for an admin to say that. So important just to have that across the board and say the expectation is the same from you as you.
Correct.
And it's easy to deviate from the rules once you get tired. And I've caught myself doing that, where it's like, do I have the emotion in me to have this fight about this kid wearing this hood in the hallway? It's like, not right now, but it's worth in the moment, kind of grabbing that little bit extra energy to solve the problem in that moment, so it doesn't snowball into bigger moments later. Because you times that by 100 some teachers in a building, that adds up.
Right.
That adds up. But
real quick, let me ask you guys this: how does it make you feel when you know that your students are mad at you?
ooh,
And I say this because a lot of times with classroom management, they don't want to be the bad guy. The teachers don't want to be the bad guy.
Yeah.
It's almost like that complex of I'm a people pleaser and I like people to like me. I need people to like me. It can kind of affect their classroom management because they're.
I'm glad you bring it up. Here's what I always tell kids. I don't need a 13-year-old friend.
Boom.
That's what I tell kids. I don't need you to be my friend. I don't need you to be my friend. I want to have fun in this classroom, but the objective on the board is my job.
Yeah,
I have to teach that. So we can either have fun while we do it, or if you want to act the way that you're acting, we're gonna go down a different path, and we're gonna get that. Because I don't need a 13-year-old friend.
Correct.
I don't need that. What do you think? How do you handle it?
First of all, I need friends that know how to take baths that I can borrow money from. I don't need a 13-year-old.
Wait, you never asked a student for money?
You close out on that? What's your thoughts?
I think that with my first year teaching, I really struggled with that. I don't know that I could handle.
It's
the
easy
kids
for
being
young
mad.
teachers. Yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to be the cool teacher. I wanted to be the one that everyone loved. I think, going through my teaching career, it was a little bit easier to have that moment, like, knock it off. Or just. And they're like, oh, like she means it because her face is really mean right now.
Yeah.
And they know, like, I think a lot of and it helped that some of the teachers that they had before were yellers.
Yeah.
They always yelled all the time. It was yelling. So it was helpful for me to be like, go down to a volume 2 and be like, stop that right now. And that usually stops really quick.
Yeah. And I want the kids to like me. Like I do. It's not like I'm saying I want the kids to like me because I need it personally.
Right.
No,
Yeah,
personally, I don't need
the
it.
motivation of like why they like
the motivation
Yeah,
of,
I mean that's therapy. You know,
Yeah.
like, you got to unpack that in therapy. But
I want them to like me because we all know that if the kid likes and respects the teacher, they're going to learn more from the teacher.
Right.
So yeah, of course I want the kid to like me,
Right.
not because I want to fill that void in my heart. Or I want another 13-year-old to be my
1,000%.
friend.
Right.
It's just like I don't know, and I think more teachers, especially in college, need to hear that. Like, hey, and I also wish they would tell teachers in college that kids crave structure. Kids really do crave structure. They don't want a teacher who's going to show up and just be loosey-goosey, willy-nilly. I don't care what we do today. We're just going to have fun.
Right.
Kids, for the most part, like to have structure. They really do. And the kids that are going to be classroom management issues, they're going to be issues if it's extreme structured or if it's no structure at all. They're going those issues just rise to the top. It's just how it goes.
Yeah.
So shout out to all those educators out there, ones who are struggling with classroom management skills. Like I said, get with your coworkers, get with a good solid team, man. Let them help you out because it's definitely a necessity. And shout out to all those OG vet that got that run that tight ship and they got that classroom management. Like, boy, hey, Miss Taylor, she was one of the coldest teachers on my campus. She could leave her classroom. And I'd be like, who's covering your class? I wish they would act a fool while I'm not there. And they never did.
Oh, man.
Amazing.
So shout out to
Amazing.
everybody, man. We love y'all, man. And we love you guys because you guys have been so awesome.
So fun.
And you've been great, too.
You've been so amazing.
You want more? Are you fishing for more compliments?
Yes, that's why I did this.
You have such nice
Earrings.
Yes.
I love
Your
Dog it.
I love your
I used to love your vest until now.
finance bro 403B if you need advice, doctor. Just kidding.
Teacher Style Box. Thank y'all, man. It's been one
Bye, everyone.
episode again. Thank you for tuning in to the Teachers Off Duty podcast, man. I've been your man, KC Mac. You can follow me at KC Mac Funny on all platforms.
Gabe Dannenbring at Gabe Dannenbring on all platforms.
and Jess Smith, Teacher Tales of Miss Smith, and on the Hot Mess Teacher Express.
Hey, where are you going for tour?
Oh, we are going to Poughkeepsie, New York, Akron, Ohio, Wabash, Indiana, Joliet, Illinois, which is sold out. Thank you, Joliet.
Woo!
And Toledo, Ohio. You can still get your tickets. Make sure you guys click the link in the description. We can't wait to see you. Can't wait to make you laugh. But yeah, man, and make sure you check out my man on Netflix. Surviving Paradise.
Surviving Paradise. It's a show.
Yeah.
It's a reality show. It'll be fun.
Make sure you guys also follow Board Teachers on all platforms. Make sure you guys follow the podcast on all platforms. And remember, Supercast. We got that good content for you. You definitely don't want to miss it. A lot of hilarious things going
I
on
got one more
behind the
thing for
scenes.
you.
What you got?
2024. Tour dates are now out. Check it out.
I was just about to get to that.
Were you?
No, I
Were
wasn't.
you?
I didn't know what he was talking about. He was giving me bunny ears. I'm going to say, man, it's not the time to play.
Can't see the cue cards in the studio.
But this light is blocking the other hand. I just saw it too. And I was like, 2024 comedy dates. Oh, man, we are so excited.
Oh, my gosh.
Man, we cannot wait to see you guys. We're going to be everywhere all of the month of January, February, March, April, and May. You don't want to miss it. Make sure you guys get on the link for all the cities and dates. We have some shows already online.
Mm-hmm.
Show already sold out in 2024.
Okay, just
Come on now.
Maine, just get ready because Jess is going back on the road
Ooh.
for the main shows.
People live there?
Boom, 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 boom.
They
I
live.
thought it was just a
You can't
myth.
get there from here.
Oh, don't you know, huh?
Oh, wait a minute. Say important.
Important.
Say here.
Here.
Look at that.